Yes, lads and ladies, welcome back to Lily White Lane. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing okay. And today, I'm going to be bringing you a Tottenham Talk live stream. Yes, the live streams are back. Welcome. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing okay on this bank holiday Monday, as we're going to be discussing: has Jose Mourinho lost the dressing room? Has Jose Mourinho lost the dressing room at Tottenham Hotspur? Can he get the dressing room back? We've got loads and loads of topics regarding Jose Mourinho and Tottenham Hotspur Football Club over the next, I'd say half an hour to an hour. So strap yourselves in, get yourself a drink, get yourself a snack, and let's delve into this topic. So, as I said, we're going to be discussing: has Jose Mourinho lost the dressing room, right? Do I think Jose has lost the dressing room? Yes, but it must have to be split. I believe he's lost some players' faith in him, but I believe others still believe he is the right man for the job. Harry Kane has publicly come out and said he backs Jose Mourinho and believes he's the right man for the job. Other players, such as Moussa Sissoko, publicly come out and said they don't back Jose Mourinho and think he's the man for the job because of his defensive tactics. I have many thoughts on this, and we're going to delve into them now. So, I believe Jose Mourinho is no longer the right man for the job. I have my reasons for that, and I will delve into them right now. But you have to be real. You have to look at it from a standpoint as whatever manager has come into this club, there was always a toxic atmosphere. There's always been a toxic atmosphere and a toxic feeling at Tottenham Hotspur. When Gareth Bale went off to international duty, it said it felt so good getting a break from that dressing room, getting a break from Tottenham Hotspur, I say. And a lot of players have come out and said that. A lot of players, Kieran Trippier, when he left to go to Atletico Madrid, said it was a breath of fresh air, moving away from Tottenham Hotspur. And it's starting to become what I see it as the bigger picture. It's the bigger picture. Yes, Jose is at fault. I don't think he's the right man for the job. I don't think he's getting enough out of this squad. I don't think he's doing many things right in the way he publicly criticises players instead of taking the blame himself. I think it's out of order. I think it's completely wrong. But you have to look at it from a standpoint as there's a bigger picture. There's a bigger picture at Tottenham Hotspur. There's a bigger reason why we are not succeeding. There's a bigger reason why we're not in the FA Cup, why we're not in the Europa League. And that is down not to the lack of investment. Well, the lack of investment pays a massive, it adds a lot to it. Not because of the lack of bringing players in, not because of the lack of selling players. It's because of the toxic atmosphere. It's because of the toxic atmosphere. And these are the same players who lost Pochettino's job. And it's looking likely these are going to be the same players who lose Jose Mourinho's job, and it really is going because we brought in Jose Mourinho after Pochettino was sacked, and we thought this guy is going to be the man for the job. He's going to bring us a trophy. Yet once again, we're 2 years into the reign of Jose Mourinho, and he hasn't brought us anything. He hasn't brought us a trophy at all. We've been knocked out of the Europa League, losing by 3-0 to Dynamo Zagreb. This team is not achieving. We are not overachieving. We're not achieving anything this season. We're underachieving. And the whole point of bringing in Jose Mourinho was to breathe a breath of fresh air into the squad, to basically bring something new, bring trophies to the team so we can evolve into a bigger and better team. All he's done is degraded us, in my opinion. All he's done is made us a worse team ever since he's been here. When Pochettino left, I understand we were mid-table, struggling to even stay up in the Premier League when he left. That was the position we're in. I'm sure he would have recovered at the end of the season, but the position he was in, I do believe it was the right move to sack him, as much as it hurts. And as much as, everyone looked up to him as a godfather figure, as much as everyone looked at him as a fantastic manager who had so many abilities and, so good, an absolute leader in the dressing room. It does go to show there's a more toxic atmosphere in Tottenham Hotspur, but I believe he had to be sacked. He had a 5-year project and he didn't win us anything with it. So he had to take that sack. And as painful as it was, I believe it was the right move. And we bring in Jose Mourinho, right? Bring in one of the most successful managers of all time. He comes in and 2 years on, he hasn't won anything. And the question is why? Why hasn't Jose Mourinho won anything? Why hasn't Jose Mourinho won anything at Tottenham Hotspur? And it boils down to the main point, because the toxic atmosphere in this dressing room has come to cost so many managers their jobs, as the players are not good enough. The players are not good enough. Now, I'll delve into my thoughts about the players and what players I think are making the wrong moves. But you have to look at Jose, and it's really hard to argue with someone who really wants Jose Mourinho out of their club, including me. I'm very tired. I'm very sitting on the fence right now. I generally don't know whether I do want him out of our club, whether I do want him to get the sack, whether I don't think he's the right man for the job, or I do think he's the right man for the job, because there's so many factors that play a part to this, in my opinion. But Jose Mourinho publicly coming out and criticising certain players, publicly coming out and criticising Tanguy Ndombele, right? Tanguy Ndombele, a player who's turned his Spurs career around, publicly coming out and criticising and basically saying he's lazy. Well, he didn't say he's lazy, but he did say he's lazy, but not by saying that, if that makes any sense. He came out and basically said he doesn't have the work ethic and he's not willing to give it his all sometimes, basically calling him lazy. You know, you can't do that, especially to a player when you came into the job who didn't want you here. You turned him around, a player who's reformed his Spurs career, a player who's basically changed around his footballing career, and is a top-tier talent now with so many skills, fantastic, creative on the ball, rarely loses it, good feet, and you're criticising him for being lazy. It doesn't it doesn't make sense with me. It doesn't gel with me, and I just can't understand why he's doing that. It was the same thing with Dele Alli against Stoke a few months ago, and this is the bit that gets me. If you're going to criticise players, publicly criticise all of the players. Publicly say the players were out of order, the players didn't play well enough, but also take the blame yourself. You have to say, I got the tactics wrong, but he doesn't. He will deflect any of the blame onto these players at any opportunity he gets to keep it away from himself. In my opinion, it's looking like that Jose Mourinho is using Tottenham Hotspur as a stepping stone to bring a trophy so we can move on and be the first person to say, I want a trophy at this club. You know, you can say I didn't do my job properly, but I want a trophy, because that's all he's doing. I don't think he's the right man for the rebuild, you know. Jose Mourinho is the right man for a 2 to 3 year project, but not a rebuild. No way, in my opinion, is he the right man for a rebuild. You're telling me, right? A rebuild is something in this club where we're going to have to clear out players. We're going to have to bring in players. I don't think we're going to have to clear out as many as Pochettino did at the beginning of his reign. But we're going to have to clear out players. We're going to have to bring in players, in my opinion. And, you know, it's going to take a long, long time. It's going to be a 4 to 5 year project, may even be longer than that. Look at what Arsenal had to do. They waited so long to do a project, so long to do a rebuild, that now it's going to become more painful. It doesn't have to be that painful if we start this project now. And is Jose Mourinho the right man for this project? Not in my opinion. I don't think he's the right man for a rebuild. Right, this guy used to be able to turn nobodies into somebodies. He turned nobodies into top tier talent. A Porto side which nobody heard about any of the players in their squad. He made them win the Champions League and Portuguese League year after year after year, with many other good sides there, such as Benfica and Sporting Lisbon. You know, that's what Jose Mourinho done. Porto, FC Porto, aside from Portugal, nobody really knew about the Portuguese League back then. He goes on to take him to win the Champions League, the most covenant trophy in world football, up there with the World Cup, the Champions League. And he made those players something. Back at Chelsea in his first reign, you look at the likes of Frank Lampard, even in his I say early in his second reign, he turned Frank Lampard into the superstar. Yes, Carlo Ancelotti played a factor into that, but many people turn these players into superstars. Didier Drogba, you know, these sides, these players that Jose Mourinho turned into fantastic players. But over the past few years, has he been turning nobodies into somebodies? Has he been turning these people into unbelievable players? No, he hasn't. And that is down to the defensive philosophy, which is going to come to cost him his job. The defensive philosophy that Jose Mourinho cannot understand, that he has to move on. The footballing world has moved on. You look at the sides of Newcastle and Brighton. Jose Mourinho expects to go into those games, score a couple of goals and shut it down. It doesn't work like that, especially with sides who aren't going to accept relegation, especially with sides who are going to give it their all, just try and scrap out a point or 3 points if possible. You know, it doesn't work like that. It's not that easy to shut up shop anymore. And he expects to shut down a game against top sides and smaller sides and play the same tactics game after game and after game and expect them to succeed. It's not going to succeed. He takes off Lucas Moura, who by far has been one of our best players over the past few weeks, right? Lucas Moura, he's been absolutely phenomenal. First of all, he starts him in the game as a right winger. Why do that? He's been so much better as a direct player, so much better in that kind of attacking midfielder / centre forward role. He's been so much better at being that creative player. He's been so much better at being direct. Why move him to the right-hand side where he hasn't succeeded for years, right? In that Ajax team, in that 3-2 win against Ajax, where did he play? Direct. He plays as attacking midfielder, as say, behind Llorente. And what happened? We won that game by 3-2, as say, he scored a hat-trick and we moved to the final. We don't play him in the final. We bring him on as a right winger. We don't win the game. It's simple to me. Lucas Moura is not a right winger. He's a direct player who can play in that attacking midfielder / centre forward role. He can even play in that striker role like he did at PSG. Yet once again, Jose Mourinho is stubborn. He's so stubborn that he doesn't want to change around the roles. Japhet Tanganga is a centre-back. He's a centre-back. No two ways about it. He's not a right back. He's a centre back. Yet Jose Mourinho's stubbornness is making him play as right back because he doesn't want to admit that he's a centre half. He doesn't want to admit that he's wrong, and that is that's what's going to come to cost Jose Mourinho's job. It's because he is not willing to criticise some players when he knows that they're not playing in the same positions as they should. He's not willing to criticise players, as I say, or he is willing to criticise players, certain players such as Japhet Tanganga and Davinson Sanchez, when he's not telling them what they're meant to do. Apparently, right, coming out from Mr. Sissoko behind the scenes and everything, he came out and said the defensive approach we take is not right. We only get taught, basically teach to defend. We only get trained to defend. We don't get trained to attack, and the players are having to rely on the old Pochettino style of play when they do want to move the ball up the pitch, when they do want to put the ball into the back of the net, because all they practice is training. And where's Mr. Sissoko been since those comments? Where's he been? Sat on the bench or sat at home? And it does go to show Jose Mourinho's stubbornness is what's going to come to cost him this job, right? And it's so gutting. But Jose Mourinho, he's not the same manager as he used to be. He's not the same manager. And in my opinion, if you still persist with this manager, if you still persist that you want him to be the right man for the job, I'd like one good reason. I really would like one good reason why you believe he is still the right man for the job. Really. Someone please tell me one good reason. I cannot name one good reason. First, the project. He's not the right person for the project, in my opinion. To bring us a trophy with these group of players, he's not going to bring us a trophy. The board don't want to back him with the players he wants. He's not going to bring us a trophy with this defensive approach. Why? Even if we get the Carabao Cup, not enough for me. Top four, we're really going to struggle now because you look at the sides such as Liverpool and Chelsea. Although Chelsea lost that game, they're going to really have to level up now. You look at Liverpool, who are really picking up form once again. I say they got Champions League football to motivate them, in my opinion. It's going to be so hard to get top four. And even if we do, it will paper over the cracks of what was a disastrous season. And the only reason we would get top four if we did this season was because the amount of slip-ups of other teams. The amount of slip-ups we've had last season, the points we're on, we would have been about 8th or 9th because it's been a disgraceful season. It's been an awful season. Maybe even lower than 8th or 9th, maybe even like 11th or 12th. The amount of points we're on at this stage in the season with how many remaining games is disgraceful, especially for a side such as Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. We can't hold on to a lead. We can't hold on to a lead because, in my opinion, Jose Mourinho is directing these players. He's telling them to just defend. He's not training them the right way to attack, as I say. We've brought in so many defensive coaches. We're not bringing in any attacking coaches. Hence the fact we are not succeeding. Hence the fact this club is not moving on. Hence the fact we're not going anywhere. We brought in Jose Mourinho to move this club on, to bring us a trophy so we can go. And then we can start the rebuild. Then we can become a top-tier side. Because it was only a couple of years ago under Mauricio Pochettino, we were 90 minutes away from winning the Champions League. Yet Jose's come in and all he's done is degrade us. All he's done is made us a worse side, put us more into a hole, as I say. You know, he's just made us worse. He's just made us worse. Let's be frank about this. When Jose Mourinho came in, Pochettino the season before had just taken us to a Champions League final. We had a new stadium on the way, mainly down to Pochettino. We had that new stadium on the way because he took a side that was struggling to get European football to be a Champions League stable. Hence the fact we had the fees and the money to pay for that new stadium. So we sack him, in my opinion, the right decision. We bring in Jose, and all he's done is made us worse. All he's done is given us lesser budget. All he's done over 2 years is spend loads of money on loads of players, as they the likes of Højbjerg, Reguilon. He has been back with certain players, not all of them, but he has been back with certain players that he wants. He still hasn't succeeded, even though he was back more than Mauricio Pochettino, nowhere near the heights of Mauricio Pochettino. And 2 seasons in, we find ourselves in a situation where we're 5th. I understand we're 5th, but it's looking likely we're going to get Europa League football, if that, next season. It's absolutely so frustrating. It's so frustrating because yesterday was such an opportunity to pick up a very important 3 points, a very important 3 points against the awful Newcastle United side, right? Let's be real about it. Newcastle haven't been good enough for a long time. They look like they're going down. They've won 3 games out of their last 20, right? 3 games out of their last 20 games. Yet Tottenham Hotspur, Dr. Tottenham comes out to play and we draw with them. It feels like a loss, this one. It really does feel like a loss because it's a real dent into our top 4 hopes, as I say. And why are we in this position, in my opinion? Because of Jose Mourinho, right? When he first came in, I backed the manager. I said he's going to be the right man for the job. My Manchester United mate said no, he's just going to bring a toxic environment because it's what he does. He's one of the only managers where everywhere he goes, he just brings a toxic environment. He falls out with players. I'm like, no. Jose's going to succeed. A year on, we're struggling, but I believe, look, next season we're going to come back even stronger. Next season, which is this season, we come back even stronger. We start off the season so well, yet we change up our tactics for no reason, change up the formations. Jose doesn't know his best 11, even though he's had 1.5 years to gel with them, as I say, and been back with the players he wants, the likes of Steven Bergwijn, even Gedson when he wanted him, Højbjerg, Reguilon, Joe Hart, and in my opinion, since then, I've still backed him. I said, right, we just drew 1-0 with Fulham. We just lost 1-0 to Brighton. We just drew 1-0 with Wolves. We just lost 3-1 to Liverpool. I still back this manager. I still believe he's the right man for the job. Then we go on a little run. And then what happens? Once again, after that little run, we change up our tactics. We change up our tactics for that little run to play more attacking and expansive football, to change up the roles of players. Lucas Moura is an attacking midfielder. It works. And what do we do when it comes to two big games, Arsenal and Zagreb? We change the tactics back to defensive football, because Jose Mourinho, when it comes to big games, he cannot play attacking football. He cannot persist with a different style of football, and it is going to come to cost him his job. It's so frustrating. So frustrating. As I say, we are going to go through some comments here. As I say, I've missed out a lot of them, but we've got THFC Fan Bible here. It says, Jose has done very well with the squad he has, but I think we just have 2 or 3 good players. It shows when Dyer, Toby and Serge were good, we were great. He just needs a good defence. Everything Football says Jose is just going to cause more issues at Tottenham. THFC Fan Bible says, but he's lost the dressing room. Joe Grimes says, Robbie, I don't know where we go from here. Neither do I. I'll come back to that comment in a second, as I say, because I do have something I want to expand on that. THFC Fan Bible says, I agree, he's done well on the pitch, but behind the scenes, it's a mess. Yeah, I can agree with that. Joe Grimes says, I'm Jose out, but bringing in a new manager who might give these players another chance to scare me. Bobbin21 says, hi mate, how you doing? Oliver a bit says, want to bring Dyer back in rather... I'll get to that comment in a second to give my opinions, but everyone's entitled to their own opinion. So he says, want to bring Dyer back in rather than Toby. He was very consistent at the end of last season and the start of this one. There are many reasons for this drop in form. Also want to see Dele come back in. What transfers do we want, says Nate. THFC Fan Bible says when Dyer was bad, he wasn't bad. He just kept making mistakes. THFC Fan Bible says spot on, Rob. Oliver a bit says, I know, but Dyer played consistently for 30 games at the end of last season and the start of this one. He was overplayed and he was keeping clean sheets left, right and centre. I'll get to that comment in a second about Eric Dyer, because I do have something I want to say about that. THFC Fan Bible says, yeah, with Sissoko in front of him. Nate says Sissoko's rubbish, though. Nate once again says no one will win trophies with the defence, though. THFC Fan Bible says not when we were first. Nate says you need to sort out the defence to attack, though, otherwise we'd be drawing 5-5 instead of 1-1. No difference. Well, how is your defence? Yeah, I can see Phil Jones. I can see all your points there, mate, but I just want to go back to the to Dele Alli point here from hang on, let me find it here. There we go. So he says he wants Dele Alli and Eric Dyer back in the squad. Last season, I'll be honest, at the end of last season, I thought Eric Dyer was very good. The beginning of this season, Eric Dyer was really good, right? He was really good at the beginning of the season. Then mid-season, he dropped, and then right now, he's been our worst player by a country mile. Hence the fact he's sitting on the bench, even though he was one of Jose's favourites. And I've come to understand that he was so much of a better player when he played next to Toby Alderweireld. He's a confidence player. He relies on confidence from the squad. He cannot make things up himself if the other teams and the players next to him don't have confidence. And the amount of times Toby or Sanchez in the past have had to cover for Dyer is absolutely unreal. So those are my thoughts and opinions on it. He's one of those players that I'd want sold in the summer, if you ask me. I don't think he's good enough for Tottenham Hotspur, I say. But yeah, so those are my thoughts and opinions on Jose Mourinho. I believe, look, do I want him sacked right now? No. I don't want him sacked right now. As much as I'm sort of Jose out, I don't want him sacked right now. Although I don't think he's the right man for the job, I don't want him sacked right now. You wait till the end of the season. If he doesn't get top 4 at the end of the season, then you sack it. Then you sack him if he doesn't get top four, no matter what. Even if we win the Carabao Cup, it's not enough, in my opinion. That's Tottenham says. The board, the manager and the players all have problems. The board don't invest in the team. The manager has shocking tactics and the players are just awful, all equally as worse as each other. Absolutely spot on there, mate. I completely agree with you. I completely agree there's a bigger issue. Jose's not getting enough out of the players. Jose's not doing well enough, but at the same time, the board are not backing him enough, in my opinion. The lack of investment from the board does play a massive factor. The coaching staff as well. The coaching staff is something that doesn't get mentioned enough. Or our scouting network. Our scouting network is absolutely woeful. Our scouting network is not good enough. We have a scout who hates the January transfer window. Let me ask you this, Steve Hitchin. If you hate the January transfer window, then why did you choose to be a scout? Why did you choose to be a scout if you hate your job? If you hate your job so much, then why don't you just quit? Because we can get the back of the other guy who was so much better than you, who wouldn't just fly to Milan to bottle a deal, who wouldn't just fly to Inter Milan to buy a top-tier centre-half when the deal's almost done and bottle it and throw it away. Those are my thoughts and opinions. But I say the scouting network's at fault, the board's at fault, the players are at fault, Jose's at fault. There's a bigger picture. There's a massive picture at Tottenham Hotspur, hence the fact we are not succeeding. Yes, Jose's at fault, but so are the board. The scouting network, not good enough. Everything Football says, question, could you see Jose completing the rebuild with Spurs? Give it to the end of the season. But right now, no, I don't believe he's the right man for a rebuild. I don't believe he's the right man to take us forward. You're looking for a rebuild, you bring in someone such as an Eric Ten Hag, a Nagelsmann, Brendan Rodgers maybe. My main man would be Ten Hag if Jose was to get sacked, the Ajax manager. I think he's fantastic. But do I think Jose's the man for the rebuild? No, and I'll go in depth right now because I don't believe he's the right man. I don't believe he can make players like he used to at the likes of Porto and Chelsea. I believe he relies on so much backing. And I understand our board aren't willing to invest that much money. But he relies on so much money, so much investment, so much backing. And if he doesn't get that backing, he goes ahead and blames it on the players. He goes ahead and blames it on the players who aren't good enough. You saw it at Manchester United, right? Manchester United, he wasn't backed. He wasn't backed with many players. But he was back with some players. He was back with a lot of money. He was back with Pogba, who was like 100 million. He was back with some top-tier talent. Yet he still complained. Because it's not him who's not getting enough out of the players. It's basically the players who are letting him down a lot of the time. And his tactics for certain players, in my opinion. Hence the fact I don't think he's the right man for the rebuild. You saw him at Manchester United. Everyone said he's going to be the next Sir Alex Ferguson. What happened to that? Once again, he brings a boring brand of football, a brand of football that is extinct, in my opinion, that does not work in the modern game. Yet he's so persistent and stubborn that it will work. He lets himself down and then goes ahead and blames the player. And then it just creates a toxicity at the club, right? And it is a major issue everywhere Jose goes. He just causes arguments. He causes tension. He causes bust-ups in the dressing room. He causes this everywhere he goes. Coincidence? I think not. So got another comment here from That's Tottenham as say, Poch overachieved with a bunch of mid-table players. He got us top four with Ben Davies at the back, and that says that. I disagree with you there. I completely disagree with you there because I think Pochettino had a much, much better squad. Much, much better squad. He was allowed to build the rebuild. He was allowed to start the rebuild. I think the problems with Pochettino started a lot later because he was allowed to build a rebuild. He had a fantastic squad with Jan Vertonghen, Toby Alderweireld, Carl Walker with Kieran Trippier as a backup right back. At left back, prime Danny Rose with Ben Davies as a backup. Moussa Dembele, who was fantastic, one of my favourite Spurs players ever. He was brilliant. Victor Wanyama, he had a really, really good squad. And then Kane, Alisson, he had a fantastic squad. Ericsson, who can forget number 23, as I say. But in my opinion, the issue started coming much later when those players started to age. And he wanted backing, right? He was backed on the first rebuild. He shipped out about 10 players, the likes of Soldado, Capu, all of these players. He shipped them out, basically sold them off, used that money to invest in new talent. And the issue started coming to him a few years later where these players were aging and he wanted more backing, he wanted more players. And he didn't get it. Hence the fact Kieran Trippier became our first team right back. Hence the fact Now Serge Aurier is our first team right back. Serge Aurier used to be our third right back, but the reason he is our first team right back is because of the lack of investment and how the board have not basically bought in, or how Enoch have not bought in a new right back since then. But those are my thoughts and opinions on it. That's Tottenham says, what Jose said about Toby was awful, apparently. Yeah, I'll get to this in a second, but he says, what Jose said about Toby was awful. Apparently, it has baffled staff and players in the dressing room. It's like he wants to be sacked now. Yep, I completely agree with you there. I can see where you're coming from. Toby's one of my favourite players, and to see him be treated this way, I think is disgusting. He's our best centre half, and Jose not picking him and then going ahead and blaming him for not playing. How can you blame a player when you don't consistently put him in the team? It makes zero sense to me. You don't put him in the team. How can you blame him? How can you blame him if you don't give him game time? You say, oh, he's not good enough. He's not good enough. The guy's lazy. Hang on a second, mate. Hang on a second. Before you got here, right? Before you came in and made our club degrade, he was a top-tier centre-half, one of the best in the Premier League, if not the world. Next to Jan Vertonghen, in my opinion, the best centre-half or the best centre-back partnership up with Ramos and Varane in the world. And I'm not even joking around when they say that, because they were fantastic, right? Yet Jose Mourinho comes in and else wants to criticise Toby Alderweireld. Wants to criticise Toby Alderweireld when you're not even playing him. Shut up. Sorry about that. But as I say, it does frustrate me. It really does frustrate me, because Toby Alderweireld's a fantastic player. And, you know, at the end of the day, didn't get back with any players in the January transfer window. We didn't bring in anyone in the January transfer window. All we did was loan out Gazzaniga. And Jose wanted Dele Alli gone. Jose wanted Alli gone, but the board persisted in keeping him, which I disagree with. It's the manager's decision. You back him with the money, as I say. But Nate says, what do you think of Anderson? I think he's a very talented centre half. If we brought him in, should he be first team? No. I think you've got to let him evolve. But will the board bring him in? That's a whole nother story. But yeah, I think he's good. I think he's a good centre half. Maybe not first team, but I do think he's a very good centre half. He'd be fantastic. You know, much better than Eric Dyer. But in my opinion, I want someone like Skriniar. I want Milenkovic. Those are the players I want. But as I say, you know, those are my thoughts and opinions. That's Tottenham says, well, in my eyes, he got the best out of a lot of players we now have. Jose isn't getting the best out of the players. He's underachieved. I can understand Jose is underachieving. I agree with you there. He's massively underachieving. That's Tottenham says. Also, Aurier, what's going on with that? I'll get to Aurier in a second, man. Mr. K says, hi, Lily White, coming first. Harris Army. Brilliant, man. Guys, Harris Army as well. Go subscribe to the Irish Shots. But fantastic guy. I go on his show every now and again. He's a brilliant guy. Subscribe to him after the stream, as I say. But Mr. K, hi, mate. How are you doing? That's Tottenham once again says, when Jose came here, he said, I don't need new players. Now he said, same coach, different players. What is he on about? He can't make his mind up. And he's tried to paper over the cracks for so long now. You know, is he lying to us? Is Jose Mourinho lying to us? Because this is what it sounds like to me, you know. First of all, you're saying, I'm so happy to have these players. You know, I don't need to back in. The best thing I've got at Tottenham Hotspur is the players. Yet now he's coming out and saying the players aren't good enough, basically. The players simply aren't good enough. And the board isn't letting me sell the players. The players aren't good enough. And that's the reason I'm underachieving. What do you want about Jose? Hang on a second, right? Make your mind up. If you're going to persist in something, if you're going to say something, then back that up. Don't go flip-flopping, Jose. Don't go flip-flopping and changing your mind, right? Because this is when things start to frustrate me. I've backed you for years. I've backed you for years when other people haven't. But now I can no longer back you because of comments like that, because of criticising Toby Alderweireld, because you're losing the dressing room like you do and bringing unnecessary toxicity to every single club you go to, saying same coach, different players. Well, you know, don't go back on what you said the first time. If you do believe that, then say it when you leave Tottenham Hotspur eventually. You'll get sacked, which it seems to me like you want to happen right now, the way you're blabbing on. It really does frustrate me, because you look at those comments and you just see, what is this guy on about? He's flip-flopping. He can't make his mind up. Maybe the first time when he said it, he was just trying to be nice and, you know, get the board to like him and Enoch and everything and just be pleased about his job. But no matter what way you see it, you cannot say those words. You cannot say those words, right? Mr. K says, maybe Jose thought we had a good squad. Now he doesn't. Isn't he right? I don't know. I'm just fed up with this. I just want to see my club succeed, and my club, my players, my manager is letting me down, as I say. But Kay says maybe Jose thought we had a good squad. Now he doesn't. Isn't he right? No, I don't think he's right. I think when he started his job off at Tottenham Hotspur, he didn't have the greatest tools to work with. But he's brought in a lot of players which were his choices. Some of them not the likes of Joe Hart and Vinicius. But for me, he's not getting enough out of them right now. But that's Tottenham now. Says Arsene Wenger warned Jose years ago. He said, "Without money, you will underachieve." And I have to say, Arsene was right. Yeah. Arsene Wenger's manager, although he managed Arsenal, I have a lot of respect for him. And in my opinion, Jose is very much underachieving. He's very much underachieving. Nevertheless, this has been the live stream, guys. Thank you all for watching. It's been an absolutely fantastic live stream, Tottenham Talk. Love doing these live streams, interacting with you fans. You know, you can have your say in the comment section. As I'll read them out, give my thoughts and opinions. Absolutely fantastic live stream, guys. Thank you as always. And as always, come on, you lily whites.